This video is all about the driving test quota, which basically means an examiner can only pass so many people per week. Therefore, don't do your driving test on Friday, because by Friday they would have used up all their passes. Before I go on with the video, I would just like to make clear that it's not true. The DVSA in the UK does not tell the examiners how many pupils they can pass and fail each week. However, there are certain pressures that may cause individual examiners to try and stick to a certain percentage each week, which is what I'm going to go into in this video. The DVSA keep really good records of what actually goes on. They know how many tests have been conducted. They know how many have failed and passed. They know it based on gender. They know the pass rate of male, female, and sometimes even ethnicity. But that's all to try and keep things fair. And this is where it gets interesting, because they also know the pass rates for the individual test centres and the individual examiners. So if, say, Colchester Test Centre has an overall pass rate of 40%, which they did the last full year, 37% of females passed and 43% of males passed. If I remember, that's about the right figures. Then if one examiner is wildly out of that percentage, that's going to ring alarm bells. The DVSA are going to think, what's going on there? Are they doing something different? Are they passing people they shouldn't pass? Are they failing people they shouldn't fail? And they're more likely to be investigated. Therefore, some could argue, and some do argue, that an individual examiner may try and pass and fail a certain number of people to try and keep their pass rate in line with their test centre average, so that nobody suspects that they're not doing their job properly. So there we are. Even though the DVSA do not set pass rates for examiners to adhere to, they don't have goals in that way. An individual examiner may feel pressured to try and stick within that pass rate so they don't look out of the ordinary. And there are plenty of tests that examiners are going to do where it's going to be on the borderline, where they could both fail or pass that pupil. It's down to them, it's down to their choice. A good example is speed. Someone might be driving a little bit slow, and it's not really slow, it's not a definite fail, but it's not a definite pass either, and it's on that borderline. And the examiner might feel a bit more pressured to say pass this person because they failed quite a few people that week, or fail them because they've passed a lot of people that week, just to try and keep their percentage in line with what's normal. Do I think this is normal practice? No, I don't think this is normal practice at all. I don't think most examiners do this. At least from my experience of what I've witnessed, most of the tests seem to be very fair. But there are 1,600 examiners spread out across 400 test centres. And these examiners are not machines, they're humans. And if a human can do something like that, I'm sure some of them probably do. Another reason why I think this is not normal practice, simply because if I was in their shoes, I would just try and do a good job. I wouldn't be trying to keep my figures in line with the norm. It's probably easier just to do your job well. And if you're doing, I think they do 35 tests a week. That's a lot of tests. It's, I think, around about 1,600 tests a year, if I'm correct. That's a lot of tests. They're not going to get all the bad test candidates, all the good ones. If they just do their job well, their figures are going to be in line with the other examiners at the test centre. And it's probably easy to do that than to try and keep a mental record of how many people you're passing and failing. And it's not as if they're going to pass someone who's definitely failed, is it? So they might think, oh, I really need to pass someone today. Oh, that person just did something very dangerous, but I need to stay within my figures. I must pass them. They don't want to leave themselves in that position. So in my eyes, the vast majority of smart examiners are just going to try and do the job well. And then there's the fact that they have a conscience. They're not going to want to fail people who have passed, because that's just bang out of order. And they're not going to want to pass people who have failed, because that's going to be on their mind. If that person is not ready to take to the road on their own and they go out and hurt someone or themselves, most people are going to feel a little bit responsible for that. if they are partly to blame for that, or probably quite a bit responsible. Earlier in the video I said that they keep good records for gender and ethnicity, and you're probably thinking, why do they need to do that? Why do they need to compare how many women pass to how many men pass and what country people are from? But to keep things fair, you do. Take this example. There is an examiner who's passing 80% of men, but only 20% of women. And that's over 1,600 tests. So it's not by chance. It's not like they've done 50 tests and happen to have got quite a few good males and not very good females. 1,600 tests they've conducted. It's not chance that most of the males they got were good and most of the females they got weren't good. It's clearly something the examiner's doing, and therefore the DVSA know we need to investigate this person, have a word with them. What are they doing? Why are they passing so many men to women over the course of a year? And the same thing is true of ethnicity as well. They can do the same thing with where people are from, and they think, well, this person's from this country, and they're not passing anyone from there, but everyone from this country, which just happens to be the country the examiner comes from, maybe. In my opinion, and my 11 years of experience, examiners generally try to do a good job. They don't try and stay within a percentage. It's much easier just to do the job properly with their sample size of 1,600. If they're trying to pass people that should pass and fail people that should fail, they will end up somewhere near the average. And if they do get investigated, because they're so used to doing the job well, the senior examiner who's going to watch them do the tests is not going to have any problem with the results that they give out. However, I can appreciate where the driving test quota rumour comes from. If people are measured against statistics, those people are going to try and stay within the statistics. I'm not a driving examiner. I'm a driving instructor. So I don't actually know what it's like to be a driving examiner. But I'm quite certain that it would be harder to try and swindle the passes and fails to keep yourself within those statistics than to just pass people who should pass and fail people who should fail. And I'm quite certain that the vast majority of examiners understand that, and they also understand that they're going to be assessed periodically anyway, so therefore they need to stay on top of what they do to make sure they're good at it. And examiners are aware that they're going to be much better prepared for their assessment if they practice doing their job as best they can every day. If you're practicing without an instructor, make sure you have insurance. Get £20 off via the link in the description to Collingwood, who provides specialist learner insurance that allows you to practice in a friend or family member's car without risking their no claims bonus. If you want to insure your own car, click on the link to confused.com. I have found that they have the widest selection of cheap insurers for young drivers. So I hope that clears that up. The driving test quota. The fact that it's not actually a thing, but you could argue that it does exist in some cases. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to get my future videos. Until the next one, cheerio.